What's up, y'all? We're back to Be Named Later reactions. This time we're going to be watching How Strong is Sasuke Without the Rinnegan by Swagkage. And so, pre-video predictions. Sasuke is, however strong he needs to be, because in Boruto, everybody is nerfed except for the new people, who are also still kind of nerfed, but they end up becoming I don't even know the word for it. They end up becoming exponentially more powerful when they need to. So they're nerfed, but basically they got plot armor. And all the old Naruto characters, they're all just nerfed. They're all washed up, even though they're in their 30s, which Kakashi was like in his 30s, but that's a whole nother tangent. I'm not trying to go on a tangent about Boruto, because I ain't trying to hate on Boruto right now. But Sasuke should be God tier in the verse. Without the Rinnegan, he still got the Eternal Mangekyo. His internal Mangekyo is Blaze release. So the Amaterasu, he can basically just control that like a regular fire attack. And that Amaterasu is some unstoppable fire. So he still has that. He still has Susanoo, perfect Susanoo. He still has Genjutsu. He still has what was his other ability? It was Amaterasu, and was his other ability Tsukiyomi? I know one of his eye did Amaterasu. No. One eye did Amaterasu, and then the other eye controlled Amaterasu to give him Blaze Release. That's what it is. I think his second eye ability is Blaze Release, which is controlling the fire. And then the other eye is just straight up Amaterasu like Itachi had. Okay, yeah, I think that's what it is, because he had that and Susanoo. Yeah, that makes sense. He don't have Tsukiyomi. He could just get out of Itachi's because of relationships, like because that's his brother, and something about, it's like a theory that you got to be a close relative to get out of Tsukiyomi. We don't really know why he got out of it. People theorize different things. Some people say it's because that's his brother. Some people say because his Genjutsu was strong enough to live up to Itachi's standard, which is, I don't believe that at all. Some people say it's because Itachi wasn't going all out. He wanted him to kill him. It's a lot of reasons that people say he broke out of it. But that's all the predictions I really got. He should still be top tier with Blaze Release and Genjutsu. He can spam it because it's an Eternal Mangekyo. He still got all the Chidori moves, Lightning Release, Blaze Release, Fireball Jutsu, all that good stuff, Fire Release. That's three elements right there. Fire, Lightning, and Blaze. He controlled 3 elements. He's really good at all of them. He's really good at Shuriken. He was training with Shuriken at a young age. He's good with Shuriken. He's good at being tricky with Shuriken. He's a good thinker under pressure, as we've seen with like his fights with Data and stuff. So he should still be top tier without Rinnegan. But let's see what Swagkage got to say.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Swagkage here, and today, since you guys responded so well to the video about how strong Naruto should be without Kurama, I'm going to be following it up by talking about how strong Sasuke
And like the video and subscribe to the channel. We trying to get to 500 subs.
should be without the Rinnegan. Now, unsurprisingly, just like in Naruto's case, figuring this out is pretty complicated. I don't know if I'd say that it's more complicated than it was for Naruto, but the answer in this case, at least I think, is a lot less clear. There are a lot of reasons I think so, and one of them is Sasuke doesn't really have a base form like Naruto does. Naruto didn't always
That's true.
Chaos Chakra mode active. He could enter and exit the form at will. Whereas Sasuke here, ever since he got it, hasn't shown any signs that he's able to turn his Rinnegan gone off. Now, he can deactivate his Sharingan, and I don't just mean dial it back from Mangekyo Sharingan to regular. He can turn it off completely. So I guess if you want, you can consider that his base form. But that doesn't really matter, at least not as far as this Naruto comparison is concerned.
Yeah.
Sasuke still has his Sharingan.
Naruto is like a base.
Never
I mean, like an
Sasuke
amp.
fight in base is we've never seen him fight without the Rinnegan, which he doesn't have anymore. And that makes it a lot more difficult to say for sure.
Wait, he doesn't have it anymore?
Not just relative to Naruto.
This is some
but
big spoilers.
to everyone else. Even
I didn't know none of this.
Versions of himself. Now, there are a couple of different ways that we can look at
Why don't he have it? Man, hold on. I can't think about that. I'm gonna get hot. Because I also heard that Naruto lost Kurama. I can't even think about that, man, because I ain't watched Boruto. I'm gonna get heated. It's gonna be a whole tangent. I'm gonna be heated that everybody getting nerfed. And see, I'm starting to go into it. Let me just go back, man.
everyone else, even past versions of himself. Now,
I'm gonna
there
get
are
heated.
different ways that we can look at this, but before I get into any of the variable stuff, let me lay out what we do know for sure. First of all, and this should be obvious, Sasuke can't use any of his Rinnegan abilities anymore. He can't switch places with people and objects. He can't use that weird space-time.
Why don't he have his Rinnegan? How do you lose a Rinnegan?
And all of the classic Rinnegan abilities, the sort that you'd associate with somebody like Nagato.
How the fuck did somebody snatch his eye? What's going? Is Danzo back? Who is they popping eyes out again? Like in the war arc? What's going? How you lose your Rinnegan? Man, I'm trying not to pay attention to it, but he keeps saying it, and it's like, how the fuck do you lose your Rinnegan? When the Rinnegan powers, I can't even do it. I'm not gonna go down that road.
Like Shinra Tensei, Chibaku Tensei, Universal Pull, the ability to absorb chakra, all that stuff is out of his arsenal now too.
And none of them powers protected you from having Rinnegan.
That when Sasuke acquired,
from getting your Rinnegan stolen,
replaced the Sharingan that used to be there, but he still retained all of his Sharingan-based abilities. In other words, up until Boruto at least, this was the eye that Sasuke used to perform Amaterasu. And there are a lot of people who are under the impression that now that this eye is gone, Sasuke can't use Amaterasu anymore because his other eye, the one that's still just an eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, allowed him to use Kagetsuchi, or in the English dub, Inferno-style flame control. Based on what we know, this ability allowed him to manipulate the flames of Amaterasu, but once they already existed, he couldn't create any black flames with this eye. But that seems...
Yeah, so I was right. That is his other eye ability. One is to make Amaterasu, the other one is to control Blaze Release. I don't know. I think Blaze Release is the name from the games because he said Inferno style. I think that's the like anime. No, because I think Blaze Release was in the anime too. Maybe Inferno style was like in the comics. But Blaze Release Inferno style is the same thing. It's just different translations.
Boruto, because after he gets his Rinnegan stabbed out, Sasuke is shown using Amaterasu from his other eye. So even though it shouldn't work that way, and Sasuke shouldn't have access to any Mangekyo Sharingan powers anymore, he still does. He can still use both Amaterasu and Kagetsuchi, which is definitely weird, but like I said, it's just how it works now, I guess. So what we know from all of this is that Sasuke's arsenal and the utility he'd provide to any team while on the battlefield has been cut down drastically. A lot of the most powerful tools in his arsenal are just straight up gone now, but he does still have Amaterasu and Enton Kagetsuchi at least, so he hasn't been totally...
Kirin, he still got Kirin.
Don't know whether or not...
Chidori, Lightning Spear.
His Susanoo, because Madara was able to use his while blind. Itachi was able to keep his active without his Mangekyo Sharingan turned on. As a matter of fact, he had his Sharingan completely deactivated. His eyes were just straight up gray. And in one of the Storm Revolution OVAs, Shisui was able to activate his Susanoo with just one of his Sharingan intact. The other one had just been stolen by Danzo. But when Sasuke went blind during his fight against Kakashi at the 5 Kage Summit, his Susanoo just completely disappeared on the spot.
Yeah, that's weird.
So, I don't know. I don't want to make any strong statements.
How did Itachi use his, and he was blind basically? And Shisui, I don't think that's canon. I think the what's his name? the writer of Naruto, I forgot his name. I think he worked with them to create that scene, but I don't think it's a canon, like officially canon, no. Even though he helped, even though the writer of Naruto helped make that scene in the games. But yeah, Itachi used it without his Mangekyo. How the fuck did that happen? I think Madara used Susanoo too with like one eye or something, if I'm remembering it right. Or something was wrong with his eyes and he was still able to use it, which was weird. So why is Sasuke losing his Susanoo when his eyes go out? I don't know. It's all weird. Cause why didn't Toby go blind from spamming Kamui? So all I'm saying, he was spamming it since he was like 12 years old. That nigga was like 25 by the end of the war. He been spamming it. He ain't ever went blind. That's all. I ain't, you know, I ain't saying nothing. No, I'm just,
Completely
ranting.
disappeared on the spot. So I don't know. I don't want to make any strong statements either way, but what I will say is that even though Madara was able to use his Susanoo while blind, he never used the perfect
Yeah, he
Susanoo
was blind.
without his Sharingan. So even though I'm willing to admit that moving forward, Sasuke might be able to use his regular humanoid Susanoo, it'd be a lot harder to convince me that he could still use the perfect Susanoo with just one eye. And since we've never seen anyone use the perfect Susanoo without both of their Sharingan intact before, I'm gonna lean towards no, he can't. But like I've been saying, I'll grant him that maybe he still has access to the regular, weaker Susanoo.
Okay.
And
I mean, everybody else can, so he might as well be able to.
A pretty substantial part of his arsenal. And definitely something that I think we can all agree was one of his most powerful abilities.
It's still a
Even if
good
you don't
defense.
assume that losing the Rinnegan makes Sasuke physically weaker, he should still overall at this point be a much less capable fighter than he was in his prime. Now, granted, Sasuke didn't really use the Rinnegan for that much in Boruto other than teleportation and interdimensional travel. So he might not really care that he can't use the Pretty Path's chakra absorption or Chibaku Tensei or whatever anymore. Ever since Boruto started, it hasn't felt like Sasuke's liked all of the other Rinnegan very much, but I do think he's gonna miss Amenji and Perfect Susanoo. He used those like all the time. Now, like I said earlier, not being able to use any of these jutsu anymore would still suck a lot for Sasuke, even if losing the Rinnegan didn't make him physically weaker. But I think that losing all this stuff and still staying at the same power level would be vastly preferable to being able to keep all of these abilities and losing the raw power boost provided by the Rinnegan. Now, obviously, it doesn't work that way. I'm not saying it does, but I'm just trying to make a point about how important that power boost actually is. I think it's a lot more valuable than any of the new abilities the Rinnegan gave Sasuke access to. Now, real quick, I am going to throw a little asterisk at the end there. It definitely depends on how much stronger you think the Rinnegan makes Sasuke, because obviously if it's just a minor like
Does since he's about to go into this whole power boost thing that the Rinnegan provides you, it reminded me of Sage of Sixth Path. Now, I believe in I was about to call him Seth. He's not Seth the programmer, this is Swagkage. I believe Swagkage also believes that Naruto still has the Sage of Six Paths power. So if Naruto still has it, shouldn't Sasuke still have the Sage power too? Sage of Six Paths? Because it wouldn't go away if Naruto's didn't go away. And Naruto still got Sage of Six Paths. Sasuke should still have it. Right? Right? Because there's no like visual indication that you're using Sage's Six Path power. At least not on Naruto. There's not. Naruto, when he transforms, he has different visual elements. So using him is a good standard. Because when he uses Sage's Six Path, it actually removes his eye markings from the Toad Sage mode and tries to make his face look normal. So it actually removes visual elements. So you can't really tell if he's using Sage's Six Path or not. I'm talking about Naruto. So you shouldn't be able to tell if Sasuke used it either. Because in the war arc, he was using Sage's Six Path powers and he was just, Sasuke. There was nothing different visually about him. So he should still have it, right? I know that little sun and moon on their hands was gone or whatever. I forgot what that was about. I think that was like a. Didn't they seal Kaguya with it or something? I don't remember. But yeah, but I know that the Rinnegan do give you a power boost just by having it. Just like the Sharingan give you a power boost by having it. So yeah, I'm just wondering if, because the Sage, I'm thinking the Sage of Six Path powers are kind of similar to Rinnegan, which made me make that leap. Yeah, she still have it. Yeah, I think he should still have it. But anyway, let's get back to the video.
And make Sasuke, because obviously if it's just a minor like 5% power boost or whatever, that's not a big deal. Being able to use Chibaku Tensei and the perfect Susanoo is probably a lot more valuable than that. But assuming the amp we're talking about here is that small, or even minor by any stretch of the imagination, is very optimistic for Sasuke. But to be as fair as possible to anyone who might disagree with me, what I'm about to say isn't quite ironclad, but I think it comes pretty close. There are a handful of statements from near the end of Shippuden that imply, and in some cases just about flat out say, that the Rinnegan makes anyone who wields it more powerful. And not in a strength through versatility kind of way, but in the sense that they get faster, their attacks hit harder, that sort of thing. When talking about one of Madara's Rinnegan, Obito says, even this one eye's chakra and ocular powers are so strong I started losing myself. Yet I, who am not its original owner, was able to accomplish this much with just one. Now, the most important part of that statement...
Yeah, so opinion, it's definitely a power boost.
He mentions the chakra, as if to say the chakra volume was so great, or the chakra of the Rinnegan was so powerful, or something to that effect, right? I think we can all agree that in one way or another, Obito was saying that this didn't just give him new abilities, it also came with its own massive supply of dormant chakra that he could freely use after implanting it. Or, in other words, that having this Rinnegan made him more powerful. He also tells Sakura, again to directly quote him, if both Rinnegan are restored to their true owner, I feel no one will be able to stand against him. Keep in mind that after Madara got his second Rinnegan, the only new ability he gained access to...
I mean, granted, that's also when Obito turned traitor. He turned back to the good side. That's some traitorous moves, you know what I'm saying? Once you pick your side, pick your side. You already switched up once, and when evil, that's when you originally switched up. Now you trying to re-switch? Nah, bro, we don't do all that, man. You's a snake, okay? We don't mess with that. So I can't take nothing that a snake say serious, because they a snake. They be trying to backdoor you or something, man. So he's saying that. That's cool. But this is when he's trying to help out Sakura, and he trying to rejoin the good side. And man, I ain't with all that. You a snake, boy. I don't mess with that.
Find that after Madara got his second Rinnegan, the only new ability he gained access to was a better version of Limbo that allowed him to create more clones. And I guess Obito couldn't have really known that was going to be the case, but I don't think he expected it to give Madara access to new jutsu at all, really. I think that he was strictly talking about Madara's raw physical power when he said this to Sakura. The last thing of note that he says in this conversation is, with ocular powers, only with both eyes together can their full power be unleashed, which may or may not be that important, because Sasuke is a bit of a special case, where one of his eyes is an Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and the other is Rinnegan, so this might not apply, but
Rinnegan Sharingan
in the video, Sasuke did use all of his Sharingan abilities through this Rinnegan, so it's totally possible that this statement applies to him as well. So what this would mean in the case of someone like Sasuke, or even in the case of Madara when he got his other Rinnegan back, is each eye amplifies the power of its owner by an unknown but observably significant amount. But together, the eyes provide a power boost that's greater than the sum of what they provide individually, sort of like when Thanos put the last Infinity Stone in his gauntlet, right? Like, it's not like the Mind Stone was just way stronger than all of the other Infinity Stones, but rather it's that all of them had a unique trait where when they're used together, the power boost they provide to their user is much greater than when they're used individually. Now, getting back to the Rinnegan, Obito said all of this about Madara's Rinnegan, which I'd assume is weaker than Sasuke's was. Even just looking at them side by side, this seems to be the case, and it would also make sense since Sasuke...
I mean, yeah, one is a Char Rinnegan.
From the Sage of Six Paths, while Madara acquired his through more natural means. Plus, this one Rinnegan took Sasuke from being weaker than a version of Madara with one Rinnegan and no Tin Tails to being stronger than that same Madara after he'd become the Jinchuriki of the Tin Tails. And I know saying that might be a little contentious, but I do think that Naruto and Sasuke were stronger than One Eye.
I think he got didn't he get the Sage powers at that point though? Too? I think he got the Sage powers. Like by this point, where I paused it at, I think he got Sage powers too by now.
Maybe a little contentious, but I do think that Naruto and Sasuke were stronger than One-Eyed Jubi Jinchuriki Madara. Sasuke straight up blitzes him after all, and he ran away from the fight to steal Kakashi's eye so he could get his other Rinnegan back to fight them. But even if you don't agree that Sasuke was actually stronger than Madara, hopefully we can agree that the boost provided by Sasuke's Rinnegan was a lot bigger than the boost provided by Madara's Rinnegan. Now, it's also totally possible that this wasn't
debatable
because of the Rinnegan, but instead because Sasuke was given Sage of Six Paths chakra from Hagoromo. And this is why I was saying at the beginning of the video that it's a lot less clear, even given all the information we have on the table, how strong Sasuke should be without this Rinnegan. It's impossible to say without making some assumptions how much of the heavy lifting the Rinnegan did in making him stronger, and how much of that was the power given to him by Hagoromo. It's also possible that the Rinnegan just contained all the chakra Hagoromo gave to Sasuke. There are just so many different possibilities that all lead us to wildly different conclusions about this topic that it's extremely difficult to say with any amount of certainty how strong Sasuke actually is. Like, another factor here that I haven't even talked about yet.
He's at least,
it's unclear whether or
he's
not
definitely still Kage level.
And the Rinnegan is actually gone, because it's not like,
because he was Kage level when he had the did he even have an Eternal yet? No, he was going blind, I think. When he fought the Kage at the Kage Summit, I think he was about to go blind when he pulled up on them. So if he was fighting toe-to-toe with Kage back then, he's definitely still Kage level. And they're, top of the verse. So, yeah, he's weaker, but he's still top tier in the verse.
Like, the eye was just deleted, right? Like, he still has it in his eye socket. It's just damaged. So and this requires us to...
So ain't nobody snatch it.
Assumption to begin with. All of the chakra given to Sasuke by Hagoromo is stored in his Rinnegan. Then we have to figure a couple things out. The first of which being, is the eye still functional in any capacity, and is any of that chakra still there? Then we'd have to figure out if Sasuke can actually access any of the chakra. And then if the answer is still yes, we'd have to figure out exactly how many of the cells were destroyed, and then how many of the cells were damaged to the extent that they can't provide his body any physical energy to make chakra, and then which of the cells...
That's a lot of assumptions.
Some physical energy, but not as much as they could before. Hopefully you're starting to see why definitively answering this question is pretty much impossible. There's just too much we don't know about the way the Rinnegan works, and like I said at the beginning of the video, we've never seen Sasuke fight without it. That is, unless you count the time travel filler, which I'd prefer not to, since I'm talking about manga canon anyway. And I don't even know if that filler is canon to the anime. So it
better not be.
In conclusion, there are a lot of different ways that you can interpret.
Because that canon had Naruto fight. I'm not getting into it.
Interpret this, but in my opinion, just based off of what we know and based on the way I think the Rinnegan works, I think that Sasuke is at best still relative to Naruto, maybe a little bit stronger than him. And at worst,
you think he's stronger?
Substantially weaker than him, though I wouldn't be able to tell you precisely how much weaker. So for those of you still here, sorry for the half answer. When I started working on this video, I thought that I'd actually be able to come to a semi-definitive conclusion at least, but it's pretty much impossible to say. It really just depends.
I mean, I can see why. It's a lot of assumptions.
Information I laid out in this video. Like I said, I personally think Naruto's stronger. At best, Sasuke is still relative to him. But based on what we've seen and based on how we know the Rinnegan functions, I don't think that's the case. That's just my opinion, though. I am not positing that as any sort of concrete fact, and you're all more than welcome to come to your own conclusions about this. Anyway, I think that's everything that I have to say about this. So as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.
Mhm. I like his outro music. But yeah, y'all, that was How Strong Is Sasuke Without the Rinnegan by Swagkage. I think he's still top tier in the verse. There's not too many people who could still hang with him, even with dual Mangekyo, well, not dual Mangekyo, EMS, internal Mangekyo. His internal Mangekyo is still put him above so many people. So yeah, he's still top tier. If he's stronger or weaker than Naruto, that's debatable because Naruto is also nerfed. So it's like the two gods of the Naruto world are both nerfed. So it's like, okay, how strong can you compare to each other when you're both nerfed? Like, well, how much are you nerfed? I don't know. We're both we are both nerfed, so you can't really tell. So it's hard to say definitively, but I can still confidently say he's top tier in the verse. But all right, y'all. If y'all like that video, leave a like. If you dislike it, leave a dislike. It's okay. You don't hurt my feelings. Maybe a little bit, but it's okay. I'll get over it. Subscribe to the channel. We on the road to 500 subs, man. Other than that, I'm out.